loving my role as a head coach and also doubling up as the Pro Cycling SG General Manager.
With Mitchelton Scott as a performance coach and a sports director, first with the Continental team, which was Mitchelton Bike Exchange.
My name is Jia Yan and I am from Deloitte Southeast Asia Sports Business Group. What specialization means in cycling, and which I believe the viewers are curious as well. Specialization in what aspect?
The winner of the Tour de France this year, Tadej Pogacar, is 22 years old. So that's incredible. The youngest winner of the Tour ever, I think. His compatriot who finished second and just won the Vuelta at Romania for the second time, Primož Roglic, who was 31 years old and only started cycling when he was 23 years old.
One element cannot really be missed out, and the skill element, we need to constantly address that versus the results.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Pro Cycling SG's live stream, where we will be sharing with you the latest best practices and tips on cycling. My name is Jia Yan and I am from the Deloitte Singapore Sports Business Group. Like the other episodes, joining me on this live stream today are Adrian and Andrew. So for the benefit of the viewers who don't already know them, allow me to introduce them again. Firstly, we have Adrian General Manager of Pro Cycling SG, who's also the head coach of our national team. And secondly, we have Andrew Smith, Sports Director and Performance Coach of Mitchelton Scott Pro Cycling Team at Greenwich Cycling. Hi Adrian, hi Andrew. How's everyone doing today?
Hello, good.
Hi everyone.
Adrian looks like he's in a very, very, very good mood. Yeah. Today's episode is on specialization. But before we jump into the questions that I have for the both of you, I was just thinking whether I should show you, the both of you, this interesting clip that I have found. Let me see, how do I do this? Maybe you can show the screen up here. Yeah. Okay, so this race, right? I actually found it, and it was actually on a competition between the track cyclists, the BMX cyclists, as well as the mountain bike cyclists. And I think, as you can see, we can't see the conclusion of wondering, what are your bets, Adrian and Andrew? Who do you think could have actually won at the end?
My money is on the track cyclists.
Me too. It's on the track cyclist. I think the bike looks fast, man. So I'm quite certain.
Good example.
But it seems like he's done.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if I can find the video that shows who eventually won, I would definitely send to the both of you to have a look. Hopefully, you guys got it right, because I was thinking probably the mountain bike would have won, but I may be wrong. Okay, so now, looking at the question that I have for the both of you today. So today's episode is on specialization. So I would like to ask maybe Adrian, on what specialization means in cycling, and which I believe the viewers are curious as well. Specialization in what aspect?
So, Jiayan, when we talk about specialization, we normally talk about athlete development. So when we talk about athlete development, we usually do something what we call the profiling. So when we are doing profiling, as you can see in the picture, these are our young BMX kids. They're actually doing a test on the stationary bike. This is where we also see their various power output at this age and collect some data point from there. So when we talk about specialization, we talk about athlete development, profiling, talent identification. And also we talk about, normally we will discuss about early versus late as well as part of specialization. What do we mean by early versus late? So if you look at the next picture where you see a podium finishing, as you can see, all four of them are around the same age, but you already can see that the guy in second is really way much taller than the rest of the other boys, whereas the guy who is third is pretty small in stature. Now,
Oh, they're not standing
this
on
is
anything. I thought they're standing on
kind of.
something.
No, there isn't any podium stand. They're kind of like
Oh.
equal in standing. So, when kids at around 9 to 16, you will tend to see some kids tend to have a growth spurt, meaning they will tend to grow faster than another person. So that doesn't mean that during this age it's a bit tricky to decide who is talented. There's a kind of that you almost need a certain amount of time and experience, and also to know what you are looking at and your discipline to even know who is kind of good in certain sport. So the early versus late is actually a good topic as part of the specialization topic that we're going to discuss later. Besides that, we also will be talking about discipline specialization. So when we talk about discipline specialization, we normally focus on the different discipline of cycling. So for folks out there who are seeing our live stream now, I think cycling is more than just a road bike. We see each other out on the road. There's as you can see from this list, there's so many other disciplines. Even for road itself, there's even different categories, and we will explain that later. So. So if you look at the next picture, which is our BMX youth on the one of the palm track in Turf City. This was actually being created by one of our BMX national coach, where he used this palm track to train skills for our kids at this early age. So if parents out there who are viewing this live stream and they are interested, you can look for us in the SCF. We will drop some information where you can contact our academy coaches to start thinking about sending your kids in for some skill program. As you can see from the next picture, this is actually taken in Thailand some years back. This is an open velodrome. So this race was done in the open. I think it was a 330 meter or 250, either one on the velodrome. So track is actually a highly skilled discipline. For most of us, because we don't have the velodrome here, we don't have the opportunity to go down to the velodrome. But if you were to have this chance, you will realize that some of the section is actually quite steep. So in the track, in the velodrome, you almost need to maintain up to about 27 km per hour of speed on the bike. If not, your bike would have slipped down, especially if you go past up the datum line. Andrew will be able to share with us more later. So on track cycling is a highly skilled event, and therefore when we talk about specialization, once again, it is very important to expose our youth at a very early stage to develop such skills. So the next one, of course, this is the one that all of us are familiar with, road cycling. I think there's more and more people picking up cycling now, in Singapore. So it's gaining a lot of popularity. So of course, last but not least, the mountain bike discipline. So this picture is actually taken once again in Turf City. We do have mountain bike academy programs that are designed for kids, around 9 to 16 years of age. So this is also a good opportunity for parents out there to expose your kids, if you are keen in either mountain bike or BMX, to come join us in our academy program. It's almost like I'm selling a sales pitch over here.
Yes, very obvious. I mean, if these are good initiatives and are accessible to all the kids out there, why not, right? So Andrew, after hearing all this, just wondering, what are your views on like specialization with regards to professional cycling? I think we have just lost. We just lost.
So maybe while we wait for Andrew to come back, there's something that I just missed out as well. So when we talk about road cycling, we actually have 5 different type of cyclists we will see. Normally, we will see in an event, you will have your time trial specialists. These are the guys that are against the clock. You normally see them in their fancy bike in a very nice and low position. These are called the time trial specialists. They are powerful riders, and they are more or less able to sustain quite a huge amount of speed through the entire 40 to 50K distance. Besides the time trial specialist, we also get to see a climber. A climber is one who are, they are able to climb up the mountain stage or maybe up the slope really fast at a quick and sustainable manner. So these are your climber, where we call a climb specialist. And also we have this type of rider called the general classification specialist. These are your all-rounder, or to simply put it, jack of all trades, master of none. But I would like to think that they are constantly top 5 in all other areas. And these are the ones that you normally see winning the Grand Tours or multi-stage event. Of course, the last one, which they are the ones that gets all the honor. These are your sprinter. They are the ones that are normally finishing in a sprint. First. So in all events, we will always get to see some of this type of riders, which Andrew will share a bit more in detail.
Yeah. Sorry
about the technical issue there. I think I'm having a bit of trouble with the camera today. Anyways, I think Brian, you were asking about what real world examples we can give and what examples from the professional peloton in terms of specialization. And I think it's a really interesting question. It's quite relevant. Also thinking about the talent that we have at the moment. There's a lot of really young riders coming through and doing really well, and almost challenging the way that we think about specialization, talent ID, and development in some ways. So just, to give a few examples, if you think about the winner of this year's Tour de France, Tadej Pogacar, he's 22 years old, and I think there's only been one rider before, really, really long time ago, who was younger than him winning the Tour de France. 22 is really, really young in terms of cycling. So that's just, incredible to think that riders that young are coming through. And then you have his countryman, Primož Roglič, who most of this people out there following cycling would know, who rides for Jumbo-Visma. He won the Vuelta a España now twice. Roglič only really started riding seriously when he was about 23 years old. And he comes from a jumping background, which is really, really different to cycling. And it's really interesting to think that you can have a Grand Tour winner who started so late in the sport and comes from a really different background in terms of what sports he's done before. And then on the other hand, you have the young crop of riders like Mathieu van der Poel that you see on your screen there. He's a World Cup winner and a European champion in cross-country mountain biking, probably one of the favorites in the Olympic Games for the mountain biking race next year. He's also a multiple national and world champion in cyclocross. And then the same goes for Wout van Aert, who's also a multiple world champion in cyclocross. He crosses over between being one of the best mountain domestiques at the moment to winning sprint stages. So it's just really interesting to see how these riders are able to cross over between different disciplines and different specialities, and how they're also able to transfer those skills. So I think that's one thing that we've always said and always known, is that the transfer of skills, whether it's between different sports and different disciplines, are really, really important in the world of cycling. And the other thing that really becomes clear is that it's really, really independent of the individual, how they develop and which pathway they take to reach the top. But the bottom line is you need the exposure to the different sports. You need to learn different skills, different movement patterns. And, as Adrian also pointed out, you have different specialists in different areas. And that's where, even we in the professional world of cycling, we use the profiling and the same talent ID principles. So, yeah, really interesting. And I think there's a few riders out there who have crossed over successfully. Even if you think about the women's peloton, you have Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, who's the world champion in mountain biking, also one of the best road cyclists. The same with Marianne Vos, who's done mountain biking, who's done cyclocross. So yeah, there's a lot of examples of really successful riders who come from and who've done multiple disciplines, which I think is something that we need to pay attention to.
I see, I see. That's like a really good overview of what specialization that the both of you actually just shared. So watching this right now, if you have any questions on specialization, please feel free to leave them in the comments below and we will get to them along the way as we speak on this live stream and also at the end of this session. And if you have been keeping up to date with Pro Cycling SG's social media, you will know that we are doing a giveaway of 3 exclusive Mitchelton Scott merchandise, and they are namely a baseball cap, a cycling cap, and as well as a pair of socks. So you can stand a chance to win one of these merchandise, but you will first need to, let's have a look right there. So you would first need to like and follow both Pro Cycling SG's Facebook and Instagram accounts, and also give the correct answer in the comment section below to one of the 3 questions that Adrian will be asking in the middle or at the end of the live stream. And when you answer, you must tag 2 friends behind the answer. And also your answers must be in by today before the live stream ends. And we will randomly select 1 lucky winner per question. So just stay with us throughout the live stream. Yep. Okay. Yeah, now that I'm done with that. So Andrew, the first question I have is that at what age should cyclists specialize? Oh, I think we lost him again. Well, yeah, maybe when let's wait for him to come back. But since he's not here, maybe Adrian, you can take over the baton. What do you think?
Okay.
I'm here. I'm
he's
here.
back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sometimes
yay!
I don't know why, but I'm still here. I'm like, the invisible man.
Jaya, I was about to open my mouth, and then give me the right time.
Oh my gosh, but great to have you back. So yeah, back to the question that I have is that at what age should a cyclist specialize?
That's a trick question, Jayan. So yeah, thanks for that. It's really difficult to say. I think Adrian touched on that a little bit earlier on when he showed the picture of the 3 young teenage guys on the podium at the mountain bike race there in Singapore. You had, there's a guy who was like, I think 15 years old, but he was taller than another guy who was 18 years old. And one of the important things to remember is that you have different, different people develop at different rates. We all reach age of maturity a little bit later, puberty and hormonal changes set in. The way that the body develops and muscles develop and growth spurts develop are all different. And I think that's one of the important things that we need to keep in mind when it comes to this and this aspect. I think we have a nice graph somewhere of a little scheme of the different stages of development. But the bottom line is, like I said before, is you need to have different ages, at a young age and starting out in the sport of cycling, you need. Or any sport for that matter, you need exposure to different kinds of sports. You really need to show, that there's a transfer between different skills, whether it's hand-eye coordination that you learn from playing ball sports or whatever it is. You learn and you transfer those skills and those movement patterns between the different sports. And what we've got on the screen here is actually from Cycling Canada's long-term athlete development plan. And it just basically illustrates that even when we add the bike in different kinds of ways. So we've got, BMX, mountain biking, road cycling, all the different sports play different roles, and there's a crossover in the skills and the techniques that we use, and other sports also play a role. So at what age should a rider specialize? I think having seen what some of the most successful mountain bikers, track cyclists, cyclocross riders are doing at the moment, if you're a talented rider, there's almost no reason why you can't do multiple disciplines and find a way to let them complement each other and start the specialization in a specific sport fairly late in life. I think that's probably one of the better ways. It's probably better to specialize later on than too early, because you lose out on skills and techniques and the development of the aerobic system and all sorts of other things if you don't do that. And then I think we have another little scheme just after this that we can also show the out there, which just also helps to illustrate this in a different kind of way. And that just sort of sums up the different ways in which we sort of put objectives for different stages and different ages. So I don't like to say different ages, because these are, they are sort of age ranges, and it really depends on the individual's way to kind of develop. But you can see we start with an active start, learning to train is in there, training to train, and then sort of the last aspect of this is called training to win, before you go on to become a recreational athlete. And the training to win is the professional, really competitive side of things. And I think there's a psychological aspect to it, where you learn how to train properly, you learn how to compete and to actually become a winner and a really competitive athlete. And if you sort of focus on these things too early in life, you lose interest, but also the athletes become so competitive and they train to win at a really young age, which is not always the best way to go, because they lose out on learning and gaining crucial skills that they need later in life in the sport, and also the development of their physiology also loses out. So these things are super important to just keep in mind. And I think if you really don't know, or you have you're a young athlete, or you've got some young kids who are interested in the sport, then it's probably good to see someone like Adrian, or go to the National Federation and speak to them and ask their advice, because I know they also have kind of these athlete pathways and things set up for the riders.
I see. Sounds interesting. So, looking at this, these are three guys that you...
Yeah, that's just on the two guys on the left on this photo is Wout van Aert in the light blue Belgian jersey, and Mathieu van der Poel in the center. And this is a junior world championships for cyclocross, and it's just quite evident to see that Van der Poel in the middle is so tall, and he looks like he's sort of developed a little bit earlier than the other two, and specifically a little bit earlier than Van Aert. But as you've seen, now in the professional ranks, these guys are competing still head to head, and just interesting to see how they've developed.
Nice. So I actually have a question for Adrian. That in Singapore context, what would be a good age to start cycling competitively?
Whoa, this is a very tricky question, Jiayan, but I will try my best. So in Singapore, right, due to the pressure to excel at a young age, athletes are normally forced to specialize pretty early. So just to elaborate in Singapore context and challenges, I must say that the importance is still developing skill first, and then fitness. So if you were to look at this chart, this chart is actually created by the National Youth Sports Institute. It's a pretty good comprehensive chart. As you can look at the two arrows there, they are pointing at the discipline. For example, BMX and downhill. You can see on the second red arrow pointing at the chronological age, at the age of 8 and 9 is where we start to have our academy programs, where we run the BMX, as I mentioned before, and a mountain bike skill program. There's some fitness component in this academy program, but the majority is still the foundation of skill sets. Because what we realize is that kids at the 8 and 9 and 10, they pick up skills very fast. So we don't want to miss this golden opportunity whereby we can use this period where they are like a sponge You teach them something, they really absorb, and especially skills. Kids love skills. So I mean, we still address some of the intensity portion, but we normally leave it to the later part of it. As you can see, at the age of 13 and 14 is where we start to introduce things like mountain bike, road program, and in the near future, we are also introducing track in the federation. So at the age 17 and 18 is what we call the golden period. This is where we really focus on their physiological adaptation and fitness. But that said, between 9 to 16, we already have a good base of skill foundation, as well as technical kind of training to prepare them. So for us in the federation, we will want to try to follow the natural order of things, to follow how the body grows. So I strongly urge guys who are seeing this stream, for your kids at this point of time, if possible, best is to let them find out what they would love to do and encourage them to pick up a sport. Best if it's cycling. So and encourage them to pick up the skill, and we don't have to force them so much into the result yet first. What we don't want is when they hit 16, they stop cycling totally, and then they do other things, and the rest of the 4 or 5 years, which is used for skill building, end up become a burnout kind of stuff. So this is something that we really want to avoid. So this National Athlete Development Pathway give us a good overview, of what kind of programs we have in the Singapore Cycling Federation.
Wow, I think Adrian, you are on like a sales pitch role, man.
I'm tasked by my boss.
Academy.
My boss say, Adrian, if you want bonus end of the year, you better make sure we have more people come in the academy. I was like, yeah, okay, Andrew, I'm not gonna let you talk so much. You're gonna increase skills.
I think that's important, Adrian, to get young riders into the sports. And I think also something I kind of missed in the previous question was that in the end, the specialization also depends on the athletes and the individual. And if I want to be a track sprinter, I don't have the physiology to do that. So no matter how much I want to do that, it's never going to happen. But on the other hand, if you have athletes who have good qualities, you can point them in the right direction, and then it's up to them to decide whether that's the discipline that they want to do. So I think that's also exposing them to the different sports, and what Adrian just showed also illustrates that, is giving them that different exposure is super important, because you also find out what you enjoy and what you're really passionate about, and that is something, if you're a young rider or you're a parent and you're out there and watching this, you need to expose the young athletes to this and to the different disciplines, because that's the only way they learn and they get a feeling for it, and they know what they really love and enjoy.
I see. That's for like the young children. So there will be definitely come a day where you will start specializing in like what Adrian mentioned earlier on, the climber, the time trialist, all-rounder sprinter. So just wondering, Adrian, how does a cyclist know which to specialize in? Like, how do they tell that category is what they do best as they progress along the development stages?
This again is quite a tricky question. I guess as you stay in the sport of cycling more and more, you will kind of find out, what you are really good at. I mean, at the start, you already have a glimpse of what you're good at. For example, if you are really light, right, and you belong to your body frame is small, you do know that when you are climbing, especially Mount Faber or up South Buena Vista, at NUS, you know that because you have a smaller frame, you have an advantage when you're climbing. This is just common knowledge. And some people will also realize that they tend to like an event whereby they can just push at a sub-maximal pace. So what you like to do have a tendency to also be what you kind of good at. And I'm quite sure everyone who are cycling for quite a number of years already will have that innate sensing of roughly, what kind of discipline you tend to do well, be it a time trial event, be it a road race, or be it a criterium. And in terms of the profiling, be it a climber, a time trialist, or all-rounder and a sprinter, I think that one would require time. As time goes by and depending on the event demands, okay, the terrain will actually decide, the winner, and you will roughly know, whether you stand a chance. For example, if you are like really heavy, you are more the powerful and heavy rider, you know that if you're climbing up the mountain, there's more or less a quite a big huge disadvantage against somebody who is smaller in frame. Also because as you are more muscular, you build up heat faster. So stuff like this inwardly, I'm quite sure that most of the cyclists out there, who are training for quite a period of time already know all this. Maybe not in a specific manner or a scientific manner whereby they can label them, but they somehow know regards to their body feel and the results, where they compete, they roughly know where they fit in. So I would like to say that it is pretty much a natural selection, and science is just to verify it, when we are doing profiling, to just verify and confirm your innate sensing of what type of rider you are. Yeah.
Seems like there's a lot of factors, like
there is. So it's a complex. Yeah, it's not so simple to say that, I'm a sprinter or I'm a climber, and it also depends on who you are benchmarked against, right? I'm quite sure if you were to take a rider from the Tour de France to come down and challenge us, even though he's a sprinter, he will still beat all of us in the time trial setting, simply because the level of racing is different. So do we then say that, oh, this guy is a sprinter and he beat all of us, and we are no longer a time trialist anymore? I mean, it's not so easy to just label what type of rider we are. And this day and age, you will tend to see rider tend to cross over from multi-discipline. As Andrew mentioned before, Roglic and some other riders, they are from a different discipline crossing over and they're doing well. So to simply just say that, I'm a sprinter is too simplistic. And there's also another question, you see, if you don't have the endurance, you can't reach the finish line, then you can't sprint for the event. So do we then say that, sprinter can't really time trial well? That is also another question we should ask ourselves. So it's a very complex kind of question where time, natural selection, and also innate sensing, verified by science, we will be able to have a better glimpse of what type of rider we are.
Yeah, exactly, Adrian. I think we have a good example of that in our own team, where we have Damien Housen, who's a champion in the time trial, and he's developed into a bit more of a climber within the team. And there's a lot of riders like that who had sort of a different role as a junior or under 23, and they develop slightly different. And time makes a difference, and it also shows that specializing too early also isn't always conducive.
Okay, nice. That's some good sharing. So before we continue, Andrew will be dropping the first question, and if you'd like to win an exclusive set of Mitchelton Scott Spaceball cap, get ready to fill in your answers in the comment section below. So, Andrew, on to you.
So we've had a few instances where we've spoken about the different kinds of road riders. So in road, we have like an extra sort of step in terms of specialization.
Oh, did we lose him again?
Okay, so
well, Adrian, do you know the question that he has? Did he share it with you?
Yeah. So just to carry on what Andrew has mentioned about specializing in the discipline, and how do we then describe specialization within the professional road cycling? So
I'm back, Adrian. I don't know what happened there, but
Oh.
I'm back and I can ask a question if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just ask the question. So I believe he didn't. I believe you didn't share the question with him.
I was saying in road cycling we have different kinds of riders. There's like an extra step of specialization. It's not only the discipline, but you have different sort of roles. And if you think about the road cyclists, and you've spoken about this, Adrian, we have time trialists, we have GC riders, we have all-rounders, we have sprinters. And the questions today, the first two at least, will be on a bit of a French theme. And the question is, what kind of rider is a rouleur?
Ooh.
Rouleur. Oh, yeah, sounds really.
Dinner is coming.
Is a rouleur.
Rouleur. Yeah, sounds, I don't know, sounds yummy. I don't know what it is, but okay. So if you have the answer to Andrew's question earlier on what is a rouleur, drop them in the comment section below, and remember to tag 2 friends, and you stand a chance to win an exclusive baseball cap by Mitchelton Scott. Okay, so let's get back on track. So Andrew, I think earlier Adrian actually mentioned about specializing in a discipline. So how would you describe specialization within like professional road cycling?
Yeah, good question. And as we just said in this question also, is like in road cycling, you have like an extra step in the specialization, because it's not only that you're specializing as a road rider, but as time goes on, you specialize as a time trialist or a mountain rider, or some riders are more all-rounders. Others, have specific domestique roles or time trialists. These things are the physiology within these different roles within road cycling is really, really different. And it's something that, takes time to develop, but it's also something that we can identify and help point out by profiling. So, that's one of the things that we've shown before. But what we basically need to do first and foremost is look at the demands of the races, look at the demands of the events. And I think we have some interesting graphics that we can show you on this. Just looking at different demands of the events, and this also helps to profile the riders. So if you look at, for instance, the graph on the left-hand side, you have 3 different bars, and you'll see that the first one is criterium race, the next one is a flat stage, and then you have a hilly stage. So most of the time criteriums are pretty flat, but they're pretty short, and the intensity is just really, really hard. So that's why you get that really high intensity at the top end of this. Whereas in a flat stage, quite often riders tend to just cruise along and just ride along, and then there's a very high intensity section sort of in the middle. Also interesting, if we look at the graph, Adrian, on the right hand side here, you can see all the way on the right you have the time trial, or the TT, and this is just divided into 3 different zones. And if you think about a time trial, it's just so super hard. You have to go basically maximum effort, and that just shows in this sort of black zone that you've got on this graph. It's just really, really hard, and the intensity and the power output in terms of watts per kilogram is just really hard. Although the actual race or the actual event is much shorter, and you can see the difference also. Then, if you just compare all the way on the left in this second group of 4 sort of graphs, you've got the flat stage, and you just compare that to the mountain stage, which is sort of the second to last one. You can see there's a huge difference in the really high intensity, but also in sort of the intermediate intensity in that second zone that they've got there. And what we do is we basically go about looking at what the demands are to finish these stages successfully, to win these stages, and that helps us to sort of profile the riders, and it also helps to put riders in looking at their capacities and their physiology and their own power profiles, how to put them successfully into a specific category and give them specific roles and target specific races also, which have different routes, because obviously the route and the road kind of dictates how the race is going to be ridden.
I see something that like is quite familiar right there. The kg, I mean like watts per kg is something that we learned back in episode 2.
Yeah.
That's the FTP, is it? Or
yeah, that's the acronym we use to actually measure a person's fitness by using watts per kilogram relative to the person's weight. I guess Andrew and Jiayan, I think folks out there would who are new to cycling, and might be keen to take part in a competition. So in the next year calendar in the federation, we have criteria, we have an individual time trial. I think just for the fun of it, some of them must be thinking, okay, which event is less painful, that they would like to take part in. I guess for a crit race, it's like, you never really get to recover because the distance is so short, right? So the intensity will naturally be very high, and there will be spurts of people attacking. So it's almost like, you kind of think that you're going to recover and somebody else from behind go again. So it's really a up and down roller coaster type of events for a criteria versus a time trial. A time trial, even though it's a fixed distance over a period of time, you get to pace yourself, but even then you will still push hard. So it almost seems like, be it a time trial or a criterium, you still will be in that pain zone. It's just that time trial, I think, is a prolonged pain. A criterium is a sharp pain. What do you think, Andrew?
I think it really depends on your capacity and as a rider and how much time you have to train. I'd say probably the easiest discipline to do if you're new to the sport is to do like a 100k road race or something like that, because you have a bit of time to hide in the peloton, and you can hide in the wheels, and that's a bit easier. Whereas in the criterium, the hammer is always down, and you either keep up with the front group, or you get lapped, and you get lapped, you're out of the race. Whereas in a time trial, you kind of have to just ride as hard as you can. So that's also depends on your training status. But if I were new to the sport and it was my first race, thinking back, I'd probably go for a road race.
Okay,
it's a little bit easier. It's a slightly more gentle kind of introduction into the sport than getting into a criterium or a road race or a time trial. Sorry.
I don't know. It just all sounds very painful to me. Maybe I haven't got to try it myself yet. All right. So before we continue, Andrew, you will be dropping the second question. And for the viewers out there, if you'd like to win an exclusive Mitchelton Scott cycling cap, get ready to fill in your answers in the comment section below. So remember to tag 2 friends in order to stand a chance to win. So Andrew, on to you.
Yeah, so I think we're staying with this little French theme, and the next question is a bit of a trick question, I have to say.
Okay. Oh, every time there's a question that he actually maybe he goes and
he did it deliberately.
Book of questions.
It's like okay. Give me like 3 minutes.
Oh, he's back.
I don't know what has happened. I'm really sorry. I broke away there for a second.
We figured did you go to the back and
there's a bit of a bit of a tip for the next question. So the question is, staying with the French theme, what kind of rider is a baroudeur?
Baroudeur. How do you spell that?
We've got it on the screen there. What kind of rider is a baroudeur? It's a bit of a good question, and these guys are normally special kind of crazy. They don't like other people, it seems. They just, they always want to be by themselves.
Oh.
Yeah. Is it? I don't know. It just sounds like another bread to me.
Almost seems like the French have so many acronyms.
Finish like a right. Okay. So, yep, I think that's good. So maybe, yeah, looking at a lot of answers coming in the Facebook comments, I see like I think probably y'all will have quite a hard time choosing the winner right there. Okay, so I think just now, when we mentioned earlier on that watts per kilogram and stuff like that. So just wondering, how does this how did all the sharing in the previous episodes, all come together in relation to what we discussed, according to what you have mentioned about training and real life racing conditions with regards to
Yeah.
FTP perhaps?
So yeah, so Jiayan, in the previous episode, on episode 2, we did mention about FTP, the functional threshold power. It's also a power that you can sustain for close to an hour. And we also share a bit about the training principle, work rest ratio. How do we then plan intervals for the event demands? Now, today we spoke a bit about the event demands as well earlier on the different discipline, different roles. All these are depending upon the conditions of the race, the event demands. So now, um, the question now is how do we then put all these things and summarize it into a real life race situation where you can start to see how does all these things come in together. So maybe and we can get Andrew to actually share with us, and this is something that's exciting because we normally learn things in part, right? And then when we want to see the big picture, we have to see how we can put it, into together to see the whole big picture. So maybe Andrew would like to share to us on the next, chart on what is it all about.
Yeah, we've got an interesting graphic there, Adrian. But I think just before I go into details on the graphic, it just, your question kind of summarizes everything that we spoke about today. And, when we speak about, for example, a sprinter who needs to sprint at the end of a race,
Okay. So Andrew have actually sprinted.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back.
I'm back. So yeah, Adrian, sorry about that. When we're thinking about a sprinter, for example, who needs to do the sprint at the end of the race, it's a really super high power output. And then, like I've said, the question that you've asked kind of summarizes everything that we've spoken about before. So if you think about the profiling of the rider, they need certain, physiological capabilities. They need a certain power output in the sprint to be able to actually win at the end of a race. Then secondly, if you think about, we spoke about riders needing exposure to different parts of the sport. They need the skills. Sprinting, for example, is a really highly skilled part of the sport. You're riding at super high speeds around corners into the finish in huge pelotons, and you really need to be able to maneuver your bike between other riders and do it really, really well. So that's something that you need the exposure to when you're a younger rider. And then you have to think about, these sprint stages often have little climbs in them. They're often really hard sections in the wind. So you need a certain power output to actually reach the finish line. So as I always like to tell the riders, to finish first you need to finish. Really dependent on a lot of aspects that we've spoken about, and you can't just think about a road sprinter as someone who has a massive power output at the end of a race, because there's all the other elements play a role, and the development of the rider and the specialization into becoming such a sprinter is reliant on so many other aspects. And then if you think about just looking at the graph that we're showing here, this is like the last 60 seconds, so the last minute of a sprint stage. You got the dotted line is speed, and the solid line is power output there, and you can see how the speed just rises towards the finish line, and also then you see the big spike in the power at the end. But what's really impressive is if you look at the red line, which indicates the rider's FTP, or functional threshold power, which is something that we spoke about, I think, in episode 2. If you want to revisit, the other episodes and look what we discussed in terms of FTP and power output and specific training, the red line here indicates FTP, and it shows you that this rider has an FTP of around 5 watts per kilo. So thinking about a sprinter who's the guy who needs to do big power output at the end of the race, that's quite huge. And if you look at this last minute of the race, how much time and the huge amount of power spikes in this last minute of the race they spend above the FTP, it's incredibly demanding just to do that sprint. So, you know, what we're trying to demonstrate here is that you need to be somewhat of a complete rider in order to be competitive. It's not only one aspect, and that's why it's so important to have your exposure to the different disciplines, to the different skills, to the different, you know, development stages.
I see. I see. Sounds very technical. But yeah, I think it's good. At least it helps me understand someone like me who doesn't like really do cycling. It definitely helps me understand. And I think you actually brought up a really good point on the fact that I think maybe some viewers may not know what FTP is about. Yeah, please revisit the episode 2 where Andrew and Adrian shared a lot on what it is about. Yeah. All right. So before we go into answering the Facebook comments, which I see is quite overwhelming, there's a lot of them calling out to you, Andrew and Adrian.
Really?
So yeah, before we go into that, yeah, Andrew, you'll be dropping the third question. I hope you are not like going to the back and flipping.
Hurry up.
So
Let's hope I can stay online this time. Yeah.
All right. So you have it on hand. All right. So if for the viewers out there, if you'd like to win a pair of exclusive Mitchelton Scott cycling socks, get ready to fill in your answers in the comment section below. So Andrew, on to you. So
staying with this theme of specialization and riders who compete in different disciplines, this is a question for everyone out there who's like testing their how big a fan they are of Mitchelton Scott. So just it's a really Mitchelton Scott question. So we've got which Mitchelton Scott men's team rider is also a gold medalist in the track world championships in the past. And I'll give you a tip. He is the current Australian national road champion. Wow. AJ, you know or not? So just to give you that question, which Scott rider is also a world championship gold medalist on the track? And the tip is he is the current Australian national road champion.
I think I know already. Yeah.
Ah, nice.
And the answer is?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, I see your answers are coming in for that. And maybe just let me go through the comment section. Just want to say hi to everyone. Hi, Roger. I think just now he was the first one to comment way back when we asked about that first video I showed you guys on guessing, you know, which cyclist would win at the end, the BMX, the trek, or the mountain biker. So yeah, I think he kind of like bet the same guy as you guys. So yeah, let's see. If I really find that video, I will need to share with Roger as well. So hi Roger. I think there's one by Lukman. I think he has a question. Hi Lukman. So the question is, do you view training different cycling disciplines as a form of cross training as well, activating or making use of different muscles, etc.?
So yeah, I think Lukman, that's a good point. I really think that you've got a good point there. Definitely, I think I would use it as a form of cross training. I think there's a lot of road riders who do gravel riding or go on the mountain bike in the off season for various reasons. Just maybe in Europe you have bad weather and it's easier to go off road. Also to regain some skills that you might have lost during the off season or during the season. And then yeah, for sure you use different muscles, but I think also it's a different way of training. It gives you a bit of a psychological break. It's
just when Andrew mentioned psychological break, walk away.
Oh dear. Okay. Let's wait for him to come back. But before that,
I'm
maybe
back.
do you have any? Yeah. Oh, he's
Oh,
back.
he's
Wow.
back. Oh,
Yay.
he's a brodier. Brodier.
Yeah. So you were
I don't know how
mentioning
much of my
about.
answer you got there, Jayan. Did you get my answer, or do I need to redo that?
We caught that you actually you broke off after you said psychological break.
Yeah, so
Breaking away.
it gives you a logical break from sort of the monotony of training on one in one discipline, but it also trains different kind of energy systems and trains different it's different, and it's a good stimulus to train specifically on different bikes and different disciplines. So yeah, I think it's really beneficial to do that.
Okay, I hope it answers your question, Lukman. So wait, let me just scroll down and see. I think there's a lot of people who give like answers. Cyclist who excels in all terrain. Let me see. Oh, Roger said that that's me. We all know. Wow. And I think we have a comment from Shane. Hi Shane. He said, if I answer, do I win a cap? So Adrian, do you think he can win a cap?
Yeah, definitely, man. If Shane answers correctly, he will win a cap.
But
just that one type of cap.
Shane will win a Pro Cycling SG cap.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, let me just scroll through. I think like I see. I think we don't have any more questions. So now looking, I think was it yeah, I think there's no other questions. Maybe yeah. So I think since we are done with the questions as well as the Facebook comments. Maybe Adrian, do you like to share on what we'll be sharing on the next episode?
Yeah. So next episode, guys, we'll be touching on a topic about marginal gains. So I guess folks out there, you always hear the professional peloton talking about marginal gains. At that level, everybody trained to the max, and pretty much their fitness levels are pretty much equal. This is where people start to look at what other areas they can do to buy speed or to increase speed. So we are lucky to have Mitchelton Scott, Greenedge as our technical consultant. They will be sharing with us from Andrew about what do they do to give them the additional marginal gains. So I think this topic will be pretty interesting for guys out there. And I am excited myself, to learn as well, to see, what we can, what areas can we do to improve and go faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So yeah, I mean marginal gains, like it sounds something that I learned in like economics. So I'm not sure how it applies to cycling. I definitely am as excited as the viewers out there to hear what you both have to share about marginal gains in the upcoming episode. So for the viewers who are watching this right now, if you do have questions on marginal gains, do leave them in the comments below, and we'll take it up in the next episode. Okay. To wrap up with all this sharing by Adrian and Andrew, we hope that it has given you some in-depth insights on what specialization is. Hope that everyone enjoyed this live stream with us. Oh, and before you go, make sure to like and follow Pro Cycling SG on social media at the following handles you see below. And also share this video with your family and friends, regardless of whether they are beginner or seasoned cyclists. So thanks again for joining us today. Stay safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sorry for the bobo towards the end.
Today is full of stop break,
The wrong one.
missing.
Have you
come
stopped
in,
this?
missing.
Have you stopped the